medical examiner's office was the actions of the parents, the delay in calling the appropriate authorities, and the age of the child was not consistent with natural causes. Now, with this being a homicide investigation, I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of your questions. Our Commonwealth Attorney is here. He will also, Randy, if you don't mind, come. He will answer what questions that I am uncomfortable with answering. So, and that's normally the case. We depend on Randy Krantz, our Commonwealth Attorney, for a number of things. One is good counsel once something like this occurs, and we have all the confidence in his ability. Again, I know you got plenty of questions. You got a number of questions. Shoot. If we can answer them, we will. If we won't, I'll tell you, we can't answer them. Sure. And this is the victim over to my left. And then you have, you just got the suspects, right? Did you make, okay.
Sheriff, word around town is that the baby was given a crushed up aspirin type medication. Is that something you can confirm?
No.
Can you tell us the child's name?
Yeah, we had it.
Jordan.
Okay. Okay, Jordan Smith. Okay.
Can you speak at all about the actual cause of death, with natural causes being ruled out? Can you say anything as to the cause of death?
What I can tell you at this point, keep in mind things remain under investigation, but that there was probable cause to believe that this was a willful, deliberate, and premeditated murder. There's no evidence at this point to suggest that it was anything but that. There's probable cause to believe that the manner of death was homicide, the cause of death, manual strangulation, and suffocation. The charges that are in place at this point against the mother is one count of first-degree murder. Again, we're at the probable cause stage, and I want to stress that at this stage the presumption of innocence exists, but probable cause was established to support the charge of first-degree murder. The father is charged with 2 counts of child abuse and neglect under the theory at this time that there was the manufacturing of methamphetamine in the house in the presence of the children. There's also the account involving the child neglect in which there was an intentional, willful, and deliberate delay in seeking medical attention for the child for Jordan Smith from anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. It is our understanding, based on evidence, that the reason for that delay was for the parents to have an opportunity to clean up the drugs that were in the house. First-degree murder is punishable by 20 years to life. The father is also charged with conspiracy to manufacture methamphetamine. That is punishable by 5 to 40 years to life. And the 2 counts of child abuse and neglect are punishable. One count is punishable by 1 to 5 years and another one of 1 to 10 years. The defendants have been appointed counsel, have had their attorney advisement. The next stage in the process will be developing the evidence further and preparing for a preliminary hearing, a probable cause hearing in court, which has not yet been scheduled.
When you talk about that time frame, the 1 to 4 hours, do you believe that the child was dead prior to the deputies arriving? Would there have been a chance to save the child had they called during that time?
It is our belief, based on the preliminary medical results at this time, that the child was dead immediately after the suffocation event, and then there was an intentional delay in contacting authorities to conceal other criminal activity, but certainly by the time authorities arrived, the child was dead.
And do you believe the father was present during the strangulation and the suffocation?
It is our understanding the father was in the house.
Do you have any idea about the motive of why they would have strangled the baby at this point?
No,
not at this time.
No motive.
And just to be clear, the mother is the only one that you believe was involved in the strangulation or is charged?
That investigation is continuing. The father's charges or preliminary additional charges are possible as the investigation continues.
But do you believe she was the one who...
It is our belief right now the mother is the one that actually killed the child.
Is there a history of calls to that residence, particularly child abuse?
No history of calls to that address.
And the 5-year-old child wasn't home at the time. Can you speak to where that child may be right now?
That child has been taken into the custody
Medical.
of social services
Oh,
and
yeah,
placed,
okay.
and placed with other relatives temporarily.
Who made the initial call yesterday? Was it inside the home,
Yes.
the father or the mother?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, who made the initial call to officials yesterday? The mother or the father?
One of the parents made the call
Okay.
from inside the home.
Are those 911 tapes available?
They eventually will be.
Be.
We're asking for some patience just to give us an opportunity to get through this next few days of the preliminary investigation, and yes.
Tom, I know you used all your questions, but if we have, good.
This is kind of related to your response and kind of after action, but the deputies and the personnel that responded to the scene, are they, being talked to, counseling, anything like that?
Right, they will be. It's mandatory that they be given this opportunity, not given the opportunity, but they will be. They don't have any choice.
How many folks did y'all have on the scene? How many folks did y'all have on the scene?
I don't know, 6, 7, 8. It just, they were going and coming. I mean, I don't know that we have an exact count, but it was, everyone that we needed was there.
Let me say this in context of that. When incidents like this happen, one of the things that we have available to us in Bedford is what we call a coordinated response. When the 911 call came in, based on our training and experience, even though we don't know what we're responding to, or the officers and public safety officers are responding to, we always have a high index of suspicion until we can rule out, especially if it involves the death of a child. But what we have here in Bedford is what is known as the Violent Crimes Response Team, or a multidisciplinary team approach, and that works very well for us. So it's an all hands on deck of detectives, victim witness advocates, forensic specialists, that we saturate the case so that we can get to the right conclusion and take whatever time and resources we need. But I personally want to commend the Sheriff's Department especially. There were officers working from early afternoon yesterday to early morning hours of today and are still working right now. We have officers at the medical examiner's office monitoring the autopsy. We have officers delivering evidence to the crime lab. Interviews are continuing with collateral witnesses. This is still a fluid situation, and these officers are having to carry the burden of doing an investigation while also knowing that there has been the tragic death of a child. And as the Commonwealth's attorney who will inherit this case and take it forward into prosecution, I couldn't do that without this work. And that may sound like, well, would you say that every time the Sheriff's Office has an investigation? Well, I would, but I especially want to highlight that right now because I was here last night and in the early morning hours, and I saw firsthand the coordinated team approach that they were doing. And that includes the Commonwealth's Attorney, Sheriff's Department, Child Protective Service, Victim Witness Advocacy, Forensics, and even today, collateral assistance by the Virginia State Police. So that's what it takes. That's how serious this case is, and that's how serious we're taking this case.
I know the toxicology aspect of a medical exam can take a while. Do you have any reason to believe that that might show later that this child had something else present in his body other than?
Anything is possible. I don't want to speculate, but as of right now, the preliminary results from the medical examiners that natural causes has been ruled out. The findings are consistent with manual strangulation and suffocation.
Can you tell us whether any meth was found in the child's system?
Not at this time. We do not have those results back.
And speaking to the seriousness, first degree is pretty serious, but is there anything just at face value now that you can anticipate maybe upping that to a capital charge at any point?
It is possible.
Did the couple give an explanation as to why the child had stopped?
No.
Can you describe the demeanor of the mother and father? folks who were responding? How were they acting? Did they seem upset? Or describe how they reacted.
I don't want to comment on that because that may go to the issues of motive and intent.
This is any case is a tough case, and I know this might be a little bit tougher. Can you speak to that at all, you know, when you deal with this kind of thing, the death of a child, and how that affects everybody that...
It affects, I can tell you, and Randy can speak to this too, but it affects the deputies. Absolutely affects the deputies. Especially we have one female investigator who was on the scene. It's got to be, it's difficult for all of them. It's difficult. I've spoken with several today, and you know, some of them have seen some horrific scenes in their years in law enforcement, and they say this is it's always, and it is always difficult, and probably one of the most difficult scenes you're going to go to, and that's when a child is hurt, or when a child is, in this case, deceased. It's what we see a lot in the child pornography arena. That it's just, it rips your heart out, and this does too. If this doesn't rip your heart out, I'll tell you, you don't have a heart. I mean, it's pretty simple. So yeah, it affects them, and that's why it's mandatory that they have the counseling.
Last night, during the hours of the investigation, I think one of the things that if you were present, you would have noticed, as the officers went diligently about their duties, there's steps to be taken. There should not be any rushes to judgment. As emotionally difficult as this case is, these officers had jobs to do that they did very professionally. But I personally noticed with the officers, as each one of them went to the desk, one of the things that they looked at was the pictures of their own children at the desks. So I just can't stress enough the difficulty of the case, but the meticulous way in which the evidence is being gathered so that it can be fully evaluated, so that we can get to the full truth of this matter. Presumption of innocence carries at this point. We're at the probable cause stage. There will be, I think, very lengthy legal proceedings to follow, and additional evidence will continue to be gathered.
And so, just going with what Randy said, I know at least one of the senior investigators who's been around a long, long time and seen a lot of scenes. He said as soon as he got in the car and headed home, he called his granddaughter. So yeah, it plays. It'll tear your heart out. It's just no way of getting around. All right, if that's any more questions, we'll be around. We'll hang around. You can chat with us if you want to.